key thing, which is very fundamental to the issue of risk assessment or risk management is about the vulnerability. The term vulnerability is associated mostly to the way we conduct ourselves in a society. I mean, when I say we, it's the society by large, the people by large. So the vulnerability actually increases in any environment when we as human beings start interacting with it. So there's a second interface which comes into the picture. The third one is the performance. When we very well talk about urban areas, it's the urban systems, which are very, very important. Fundamentally, it's transport, it's water supply, the range of issues. So when we talk about risk management in urban area, these three things are very, very fundamental. And there's a journey, that I'm going to take through right from 1905 to 2001. 1905 being one of the largest earthquakes, which hit a place called Kangra in Himachal Pradesh. And there are a couple of other interesting events, over the last 100 years. Some major earthquakes, and interestingly, each one has their own dynamics, and it helped shape the seismic zoning map of the country. This is the 1905 earthquake. These figures you won't find it generally in most of the record. The colors what you see around here, up to intensity 2 and 3, where people felt actually this event happening right here. This is the epicenter, this Kangra, and surprisingly, this event actually killed more than 30,000 people. The estimated losses in 1905 was around 2.9 million. And this is one of the largest earthquakes which happened then. And these are some of the pictures of that particular event. This is one of the pictures of one of the streets in near Kangra, and this is the Gurkha barracks. You can actually see the sort of construction before the earthquake and after the collapse. This is the Kangra fort, very rare picture to find. So that was the story about the 1905 earthquake. But then the 1934 earthquake, again a major event, close to around 10,000 plus people getting killed, and this earthquake was magnitude 8. And if you really look in terms of the intensity, it was almost touching 9, 10 as per the MSK scale. Going to the Koina earthquake, again an earthquake happening in Koina. This event was of 6.6, it happened in 1967. 200 people actually were killed in that event, and this actually created a lot of damage to the structure of the dam. So the dam had to undergo quick emergency repairs. So this issue of housing damage and earthquakes was there 100 years ago, and it remains even today. This was Jabalpur earthquake. This is in 1997, considered to be the first urban earthquake because it happened very close to an urban area called Jabalpur in the heart of Madhya Pradesh, and about 39 human lives were lost. The life loss not much, but a lot of people were injured. But it really threw open the debate about how an earthquake can happen even in the central part of the Indian continent, because this part of India was usually considered to be sort of a more stable continental region. Not a big earthquake, but you see the number of collapsed houses. There are 8,267 houses being collapsed, and about 40,000 which are partially damaged. Now these are some of the photographs. These are from the rural part of Jabalpur, not the city, and these are sort of structures which actually collapsed. And going down, you can see this G+1. So you have a sort of a damage taking place. You have a sort of an additional overhanging canopy sort of a structure like about 2 meters, and that actually could not take the shaking. Going to the Bhuj earthquake, this earthquake reminded how bad our buildings are built. You see right from the epicenter to places as far as 250, 260 kilometers, and even one building collapsed around 500 kilometers away. That is in the city of Surat. Actually, we should have no relation between an earthquake happening 200, 300 kilometers away. But in India, we have generally seen that up to a range of 300 kilometers, if your buildings are not designed well, there are chances that your building can suffer a major damage in a slightly larger earthquake. This earthquake actually threw open the whole debate of the reinforced design and how bad we are in terms of putting up structures on the ground. Looking at Delhi, we were doing a small study, trying to understand what happens in Delhi. And this is a statement which I could give. Violence as number as number of cars. And unbelievably, a large chunk of Delhi, if you really go into some of the areas, you really get caught up, and you cannot get out of that place. I mean, fire incidents, earthquakes, nothing is not designed for anything. Shimla, a mix of age of buildings, a mix of intermediate stories with again different ages, and highly non-engineered. This is what's going to happen. Buildings are just going to slide and collapse. Most of the buildings what you see here, they look pretty nice when you see from a distance. I mean, because buildings are actually put on slopes, and slopes of varying degrees, it can actually trigger a chain of collapses. You may have a strong building built down, but it can happen that it can just pick up that. It's very important that you preserve the evidence, and that's something which we when the Gujarat earthquake happened, we shouted at the top of the voice, let us keep some buildings the way it is, so that people can come and understand and learn about it. Because today you go to Gujarat, it looks perfectly fine. There are a lot of people who are graduating, they haven't seen an earthquake in their lifetime. And these sort of structures, if we preserve, one masonry building, one RCC building, and if you start giving a sort of a broad explanation of why it failed, I think a lot of lessons, what you may be studying 4 years of engineering or whatever we study, but that really gives you a message. They have sort of an earthquake museum in Taiwan, and this is the place. This is a huge facility. This is one of the school buildings which collapsed, and they converted that into a big museum. And here you can learn and understand everything about earthquakes. It's very important that the knowledge is transferred, and this is one way of actually putting up a museum. And this is the actual fault line that's kept open, and people can actually go and understand what this whole thing is all about. This whole process of social engineering, takes a very long time. And if you destroy the evidence, then you're losing out a whole set of people who can actually come and learn from it. And if you keep these museums on, you have sort of public talks and things like that happening, a lot of people get interested, they learn from it. And the learnings actually get translated into action on ground over a longer period of time. It's very important that we also target children. So we need to go back to schools and talk to them about it and start training them. Because I, as an individual, I was about to jump from the building when the earthquake happened in Ahmedabad. Exactly, one of my friends said, "No, you don't jump." It's important that we motivate people, no matter whose name is written on that. But you need a large number of players. So we need to double, triple, go on building that sort of a network of people who can actually talk about public safety. There's still a sort of a very typical confusion. We have two structures which still exist today. We have a Ministry of Home Affairs, which also has a division on which also works on disaster management, and we also have a National Disaster Management Authority, and they have an executive committee. The states have a state disaster management authority. In the districts, you have a district disaster management authority, and then you go down to the local authorities like cities and all. You have a sort of a very big structure, but still there's a lot of confusion. You go back to the states, there's a relief department, you have a disaster management authority. There's still a whole lot of work which needs to be done. Training, engineers, masons, and a bunch of people. This for the architects, this is for the engineers. It's the NPEEE program, a couple of projects on cities and climate change and stuff like that. There's a national disaster management guidelines. So there's some attempts which are being done, but again the challenge still remains very, very open. A lot of work needs to be done probably for another couple of centuries to ready for this. Thank you so much.